So let's maybe make this bottle a little bit more comfortable to use. You see, actually I changed my revolves to periodic, so I just deleted them and redid them quickly. That was quicker than changing one by one through the design history. And for example, this upper part here is really flat, and also from the side, for example, it's angular, and that's because, well, the curves are offset, so they're not ending at the same point. The surface dips in inwards. And what we can do actually in this case is do something more creative. So for example, I go, well, let's do this. Let's make something easy first. So you know about the surface fillet, but there's also a surface blend. And the blend surface is pretty much like the blend curve. It blends between surfaces. So for example, if we set this one to G0, so positional, click, and click. So you see I did not want by accident to click on a vertical green line, just on an edge. Now this is actually G0. Doesn't look very nice, not very good. So I can, for example, say side 2 should be tangent. And something crazy happens here. So maybe I click by accident the wrong edges. And oh, okay, good. Now this way it works better. So must have been a bug. So you see with tangent you get a small dip out, but it doesn't really look super nice. Maybe side 1, let's go to curvature and curvature. Maybe we can bend those out a little bit. Or G3. So this is, for example, a nice and soft, but the problem is you don't really have much control over it. So that's not really what we want to use. We actually would like to have a simple shape. So for example, what we're going to do, let's go to here, turn those off, and actually I'm going to create myself a nice transition. So degree 7, that's good. This point I click, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and then this last point I'm going to snap to there, and then I'm going to select my align tool again, align U to U. This is the inside, so maybe G1 will be fine. Next, U to U. This should be softer, maybe a G2. Can maybe scale this one down a little bit. Accept. Okay. Going to edit for the CVs. Oops, turn off the snap. So there you see I was able to sculpt, for example, kind of like the transition I have. No, and then we would do a revolve again. Now, of course, if you want to have kind of like the more typical style, well, at that point there are so many lines, it might not be possible doing that with a single span, so we have to bite the bullet here and do multiple spans. So I know actually maybe I go to degree 3, click, 1 is slightly coming out, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and that's a 2 span, so I need 4 degree single span. Accept. And then actually from there another line on the bottle starts pretty abruptly. 1, 2, 3. I'll leave it at that. And also the inside here, it's actually rather sharp. So there I'm going to 1, 2, oh no, there, snap to the point. Okay, good, because now I can actually go ahead, do my usual aligning tool. This is actually a G1 only, so that's fine. Perfect. I want to make sure these points perfectly always align together, so align, but positional U to U, so they always snap together. Next, maybe a G2, U to U, accept, and a positional U to U. Actually, scratch that. Let's make it maybe a G1, so it's a little bit softer, and then we just pull this one in. Okay, so there we have an empty vertex. That means this curve probably we can lower to this there, or maybe 3, except, yeah, let's keep it at that. Let's go back to align. Maybe a G1 there, G0, G1, move this one in. Okay, great. So you see, not very complicated, but you have to trick around, put some points out, and then actually you can start thinking about the shape, so you don't really pay too much attention to that at the beginning. So, you know, I'm just working on this shell. So there too much is happening. Let's see what's going on. So what is this one? Oh, that makes sense. That's a G1. This should be a G0. There. That's all I need. Because I want this point to nicely, sharply dip in. And this one pull out. And then afterwards, I don't really like this one, so I'm going to change this one to a degree 2, accept. Okay, because if I would touch my hand, this actually is really sharp. So, or you know, let's actually undo this one. Let's go back to 3, accept. But what I do instead is this one. This one I scale in really tightly, and this one I scale down to there. Okay, so I get kind of like this shape I have on my molded glass I have here. Let's select all those, turn off those points. Now we can see like what we did. So of course I sculpted this one currently by eye. I didn't really measure it, so again, let's see, the whole thing is 1 centimeter high, and I can see it already. This is way too big. So what can I do? Maybe let's take this one and scale it down. Maybe move it in a little bit. So plus minus, yeah, I'm going to change my pivot point in this case to there because I would like to scale it there. Now this is really sharp. This might be a little bit uncomfortable. So I'm turning back my CV. So you start actually seeing how I'm always adjusting, moving the points back and forward. So that's kind of like the whole idea of sculpting. And why I said try not to overcomplicate your stuff. Start basic and then add details. Otherwise you might do something that looks good. If you zoom out, doesn't look good. Wasted time. This might be a little bit better. Okay, and now we can go back maybe to here. I think all the shells should still perfectly match. Let's zoom in. And yes, they do. So for the inside, let's go to revolve U. Oh, doesn't work because I did not set the control the pivot points correctly. So all U and U left. Control vertex, Alt key, and snap. So where all others are. Then I can go back. Then I go to the outside, nothing, and nothing. There we are. Now the profile looked kind of good. And now we can, for example, say, I don't know, maybe I don't like really this shape. So this one I don't need. Maybe let's see how does this look when we turn this one into interactive. Oh, well, that makes sense there. Pickable. Okay. So that one, for example, belongs to there. They got messed up a little bit. So what I can do is, in this case, I go to the component picker and, for example, just select this curve, this one, turn on the CVs. And maybe middle mouse button, move them in a little bit. Maybe move those down slightly. Maybe move this one out. So select the curve, CVs. Maybe this one we have to pull in a little bit more. Oh yeah, there, that actually looks nicer. And this one maybe we move down a little bit. There, oh, there we get closer. And that's, yeah, let's leave it at that. Okay, so this one, for example, then we could send to the 3D printer and print. So there was one last problem I actually noticed when I rotated it. The opening's pretty small, and I measured everything to be 2 centimeters wide. Of course, I offset the surface to the inside, so everything is below 1 centimeter now. So that means I have to do some adjustments here. First, I can select actually this curve, and because those 2 lines align to this curve, I can move it, for example, to there. Now, this opening is 2 centimeters. And you see my bottle is not really correct. So to make sure that I do not by accident select CVs or edit points from any object, I turn all those I do not want to touch off, select this one, and you see here I just have my hull turned on, select this point, move, right mouse button, and just pay attention that this one at one point starts to hit kind of like this 2 centimeter mark. And then when that is done, I have to go to this curve, turn my hull on, because unfortunately here some of these points of course are kind of wicked. So let's sculpt them back. And it's not going to be a problem. There. Perfect. Let's take a look. Oh, what's happening there? This one. Let's go to the revolve. Local. Ah, okay, so I would say that probably. Let's click on this one. See where the the revolve thing moved. Okay, just to make sure, select all, revolve. Sorry, the pivot point. Alt click and drag to the center point. So actually, that should have done it, so it didn't. So let's see what was wrong. It didn't do it. Oh, yeah. I had the one selected, and when I drag over it, it deselects them. So see, select, drag, this one got deselected. So be careful about it. Pivot point, Alt, reset, inner, outer. Still doesn't do it. Say global and local. Oh, there. Oh, it's just an update that was required. Okay, so this, for example, is a lot better now. And then you see, you can start sculpting and changing the shapes as much as you want. And that's an easy way, for example, to also, or a good way, to describe the different steps, when to use what type of curve, when to use an automatic function like the align, how to use the features. And honestly, everything is really subjective. So for example, I could have also built only the outside shells, and then instead of using a curve blend, I do a surface blend. Works as well. So sometimes it's left pocket, right pocket, or based on what might be a more efficient way, or also what the software is best for. So those are all questions which at one point you might have to ask and figure out. But honestly, this really comes with work experience. So I would not try to stress about it too much. That will come with time. Okay, so that's everything for how to build a simple bottle.